From interviews to jail calls, Ditto Transcripts delivers fast, confidential, and court ready transcription for law enforcement agencies. Ditto is CJIS compliant and is already working with agencies all over the U.S., including the Washington State Patrol and the National Park Service Investigations Unit. Get started now at dittotranscripts.com. That's dittotranscripts.com. When you don't know how a recruit's really doing until week 10, that's a problem. TrackWired's field training management software replaces old school paperwork with a clean, automated system. Streamlined reporting, knowledge comprehension, and crystal clear performance trends, all handled in one secure place. TrackWire gives you real-time insight into their field training process so supervisors get real-time visibility. FTOs save hours and recruits stay on track. If you want to tighten up your FTO program, start by going to trackwire.com. That's tracwire.com. The views and opinions expressed by the host and guests of this show do not represent their employing agency, department, or organization. All information should be regarded as anecdotal, contextual, and educational, and should not be misinterpreted as legal or medical advice. Welcome to Blue Grit Radio, the podcast that explores making better cops for a better community. I'm your host, Eric Tung. I've been an active police officer since 2007. We will dive into the aspects of police culture, health and wellness, leadership, and mindset. You'll hear from experts not only from policing, but all industries as they relate to being our best with purpose, passion, and positivity. Join me as we share stories, lessons, and advice so we can all be better for ourselves, our teams, our families, and our communities. Hey, real quick, this is, as the description says, it's a recorded mock interview that I did with someone that I was working with and coaching for this pre-hire process. So, one of the most popular episodes on Blue Grit Radio has been the mock oral board with Zach. You can find that if you go back through the archives and search for that. So this is another one. This is another one to give you a different example, some different framework, and then different feedback that I give him specifically. So, this is truly not about peddling my services. This is about offering free resources. If you can get everything you need to get hired efficiently and effectively through free resources like my podcast and the newsletter, then that is fantastic. I'd love that. Let's get more good people hired as good cops, and we can get this thing going. That's where the project all started. Coaching is an available resource for people that need it. That need extra time and attention, but really I would lead more people to look at the hiring guide, which is very inexpensive. You can find it on the website bluegritwellness.com. It's also where you can sign up for the newsletter, and you can usually get stuff like stickers and t-shirts to benefit really good causes, supporting first responders, mental health support and resources, and all kinds of other good stuff. So check out that website. And without further ado, last thing. The sound might be weird in spots because I cut out the guy's name. He was very supportive in sharing this episode and being aired for everyone's mutual benefit. However, I opted to cut out his name and some personal information and the name of the agency he was saying, just to keep it more adaptable so you can just think about it in your own context. All right, enjoy. Hey there, welcome to the oral board. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you being on time. Can you start with your name and tell us a little bit about yourself?
I recently graduated from university with a bachelor's degree in business administration. And during my junior year, I developed a strong interest in law enforcement after speaking with my roommate's father, who was a retired police officer. And he got me set up with my first ride along. And after that first ride along, I immediately knew that this was a career I wanted to pursue. But what really stood out to me about that ride along was how different every call was. And I liked the idea of dealing with a new call every time you went to a new call. So that's what really appealed to me about the job. But more importantly, what I took away from that ride along was I got an understanding of the reality of the job. So I understand that not every call will be easy. There will be tough situations to deal with. tough calls. But overall, I think it's a very selfless and honorable job and a great way to make a direct impact on the community you're serving. Um, and yeah, since that ride along, I've taken deliberate steps to prepare myself for the career. Going into my senior year of college, I adjusted a few of my classes. I've taken classes such as criminal law, forensics photography, and the police function. And aside from gaining relevant knowledge about the field, I've made it a priority to stay in good physical condition.
Excellent. Thanks for that overview. And you got into a little bit of what we're going to ask you next, which is, why law enforcement. So appreciate you touching on that. Is there anything you want to expand on and kind of recap, why this job and why our agency specifically?
County specifically, one of the reasons, as I mentioned before, why law enforcement appealed to me is how different every call is that you deal with. And I've only done ride-alongs with Lee, but I think working at the county, you have a lot more freedom. You're working the county rather than just one city, and so you you get you'll have a lot more opportunities and varieties of calls with working a county rather than just the city. Um, and yeah, I also know that county offers a lot of different specialized units, such as um, a Marine unit, a K-9 unit, hostage negotiation unit, and I also know that they run the SWAT team. But yeah, I just see county as an agency that offers a lot of varied career opportunities, and that's something that I would love to be a part of.
Okay, great. Um, can you tell us a little bit about a time when you encountered a hardship or a huge challenge? Tell us about what that situation was, what you did, and what the end result was.
Yeah, I guess a time that I faced hardship would be my freshman year of college. Um, I wasn't taking my academics as seriously as I should have, and that's because I was surrounding myself with people who were doing the same. We were prioritizing having fun, going to parties, rather than preparing for our futures. So going into sophomore year, I realized that I had to surround myself with people who wanted to succeed in their futures. And the biggest takeaway that I learned from that first year of college was that you become who you surround yourself with.
Excellent. Is there anything you want to expand on as far as steps you took or what the end result was?
Oh yeah, as far as steps I took, I had to cut a lot of those friends off, and going into sophomore year, I found new friends, surrounded myself with better people, people who were goal oriented, and were focused on their careers.
Okay. Excellent. We work in a very diverse area. Could you tell us about your understanding of what diversity is, what that means to you, and any personal experience that helps you um, interact with others different than yourself?
Yeah, I think diversity is not just a difference of ethnic groups or races, but I also think it's a difference of beliefs, moral beliefs, political beliefs. I think all that is related to diversity. Um, and I myself actually come from a very diverse background. My mom's side of the family, who lives here in Washington, is white, and they come from a very Christian conservative background. While my dad, who currently lives in Australia but was born in India, comes from a Hindu background. And so I've lived most of my life in Washington, but during the summers, I would always visit my dad, who's lived in multiple countries around the world. So I've been to a total of 16 different countries. So from a young age, I've gotten a lot of exposure um, of different cultures, different people, just different perspectives of life. Was there another part to that question?
No, that's really helpful. It gives us what we're looking for. So thank you for that. Can you tell us about a time when you encountered conflict, either in the workplace or a relationship of yours? Tell us about what the situation was, what made that conflict difficult, and then what you did about the situation and how it ended.
Yeah, so at my current warehouse job, I had a coworker who, for reasons at first I didn't really understand, just she just seemed to not like me. Whenever I would pass by her in the aisle, she would make rude remarks to me or snap at me, and eventually it was getting to the point where it was uncomfortable to work with her. Um, so I knew I had to do something to resolve it. And I knew that she was a huge car enthusiast. So one day I noticed she got new rims on her car. So I went up to her, complimented her rims, and asked if she planned to get any more work done to her car. And immediately that sparked a positive interaction between us. But now looking back at the situation, I realized that I may have contributed to the conflict without realizing it. Whenever I would work around her, I would tend to keep to myself and stay quiet, just because I thought she didn't like me. I would talk to my other coworkers, however, so that may came off to her as like I was talking to my other coworkers, but I was just ignoring her presence, like she wasn't even there. So yeah, I learned a lot from that situation, thinking back just as I've grown and matured. And I still work with her today, and we always chat up and have positive interactions with each other.
Okay. Thank you. Um, Police work can be really complicated, and it's understandable to make mistakes, and everyone's human. And not only do police officers make mistakes, but we understand that those in the community also make mistakes. Can you tell us about a time where you've made a mistake, and what your learning lessons and reflections are from that?
Yeah, I think as I mentioned before, going back to my freshman year, I made a lot of significant mistakes with just choosing who I was hanging out with and being young and immature. Um, I've taken responsibility for those mistakes, and I've grown a lot from those mistakes since then.
Is there anything specific that you want to touch on?
Not anything too specific, more just the general choices that I made of who I decided to hang out with.
Okay. Police officers have to maintain strong ethics and morals and values. Can you tell us about the types of things you would consider if you observed a coworker doing something that you believed may be unethical, but you're not sure?
Something that a coworker does that may be unethical that I'm unsure of. Um, I can't think of like a specific example, but lying. I think lying's a big deal in law enforcement. I think part of law enforcement is integrity, and I think lying directly goes against integrity. Um, I think police officers should uphold integrity.
Okay, thank you. So, in the next one is going to be a hypothetical situation. So, you are on the job, you're a police officer, you're coming in for the start of your shift, and you walk by one of your colleagues, another police officer in the hallway who's getting uh, done with his shift. As you walk by him, you smell a strong odor of alcohol. What are the things that are occurring in your head, and how do you plan to navigate this?
Yeah, well, first off, immediately the smell of alcohol on a police officer. Um, Police officers aren't supposed to be under the influence while working. As far as how I would approach this situation, I would first go to the individual who I smell alcohol on. I would ask him about it and give himself a chance to explain himself. And I would say, hey, let's go to our supervisor. I'll go with you. We can explain this to him. And after giving him the chance and opportunity to explain himself to our supervisor, if he's still not willing to go with me to our supervisor, I would then go to the supervisor myself and report what I've witnessed, smelled.
Okay. Thank you for that. One moment as I check a note. So, our mission is to protect life, property, and the individual rights by providing professional and ethical services in partnership with the community. What do those words or what does that mission statement mean to you, and how do you personally plan to affect that?
Yeah, so you said with the community there, and I think community policing is very something that's very important. I think it makes the jobs of law enforcement a lot easier when they have a good relationship with their community. And I think the community also I think they also want officers that they can respect and can work and get along with. Um, so I think part of upholding those values, as you stated before, is having a good relationship with the community that we're working for.
Okay, thank you. Our agency's values are integrity, professionalism, respect, teamwork, and accountability. Which one of those values sticks out to you the most? And can you tell us about what you believe it means personally, and then something about yourself that you think illustrates that? And I'll say the values again. They're integrity, professionalism, respect, teamwork, and accountability.
I think respect sticks out to me the most. I think that's part of how police officers should approach their work. I think they should treat everyone with respect, regardless of their race, their culture. I think all officers should treat everyone with respect. Um, and I think that's something that represent. I think that's a value that I portray myself. I think I'm a very respectful person. Um, Going back to that cultural question, I do have my own cultures and beliefs, but I've never let that get in the way of me respecting another person's cultures, morals, or beliefs. And I treat everyone the same way I treat everyone with respect.
Okay, thank you. What do you believe are one or two of your greatest strengths? And can you tell us about how they would play into how you would conduct your police work?
Yeah, I think one of my greatest strengths is that I have a strong sense of empathy. Um, and I think it's good to approach situations with empathy. With dealing, I think sometimes people just need a break. You know, sometimes you got to understand that people have other things going on in their lives, and I think empathy is a good part of helping you understand another person's emotions. And another strength that I think I have is my ability to stay calm. I'm a very even tempered person. I rarely let my emotions take over. And I think that's a very important quality for policing. I think officers have to stay calm, professional. I know officers will be dealing a lot with the same people that will get on their nerves, but you can't snap. You just have to stay professional, stay calm, and do your work.
Okay, thank you. Can you tell us about a personal or professional goal other than getting hired as a police officer with our agency?
Um, yeah, I think I'd like to move up and try one of those different specialized units, such as SWAT. I think that's something I'd really want to go into. Um, I think I think there's other specialized units I haven't really looked too into. I'm still young. I'm still figuring that out. As of right now, my goal is to just be the best patrol officer that I can be for your guys' department.
Okay. And a follow up to that, thank you. Those are good insights, and we appreciate people that are future thinkers and oriented. What types of things would you do that would ensure that you are being the best police officer in patrol that you can be at that time?
Yeah, just try to stay humble and be coachable. I understand that I'm young and this is a new field for me. It's something I've never done. Um, I'll I'm just when I if I get in, I would just take in all the knowledge from all my mentors and listen to the advice of everyone who's more experienced than me. I would take every day as an opportunity to learn something new about this career.
Okay, great. Those that concludes your structured interview with us. Do you have any questions for us that we can touch on or answer for you?
Yeah, I guess what would what would your department's culture be like?
Yeah, that's a great question. As you know, we are hiring rapidly, and we have a lot of new people in the agency, and so much of our culture is about development. It's about recognizing the individual, and it's about team. So we want to forecast out. This is a kind of a time when we have a lot of pressure because we are training a lot of new people in a really challenging job. So we want people that are selfless. We want people that are humble learners and thinkers. It sounds like very much you're in that vein. So I appreciate you highlighting some of that as far as your strengths and what you're driving toward. And so we're just trying to meet halfway in there as far as internally. That's our culture, and then we also reflect and are really proud of a lot of what you talked about, which is community engagement. Like we are nothing without the community, and it is recognizing that we, as an agency, like the police department, the sheriff's office, and surrounding agencies, all of us are really we have to do all our work alongside the community. Like we don't exist in a vacuum. So we also appreciate that you brought that up.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Does that answer your question?
No, I don't, but thank you for taking the time to get to know me, and I'd be honored to work further. Thank you.
Awesome. Hey, thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for part 2, where I go over all the feedback and we go question by question on tips and things to think about for the interview.
All right, I'm really excited to share with you the Blue Grit Police Testing and Hiring Guide that's live on the website. Really, this is the culmination of everything I've learned about police testing from the time I came in myself and had to figure out trial by fire what it was that agencies wanted, at the same time, how to showcase my best version of myself, right? It's not about being something that you're not, but it's about understanding each stage in the game so you can present the best way. In my guide, I go in everything about the hiring landscape right now, how to develop your mindset, what to expect, and how to show up. So it's about knowing yourself well, like identifying strengths, weaknesses, how to conceptualize this, how to articulate this, and then going into the test itself. So written, physical components, interviews, everything that we're looking for there, the background, what that entails, polygraph, psych eval, medical, what these things all are, what they're trying to yield or determine, and then how you can make sure that you are showing up to be effective so you're not wasting your time, stress, money, all the angst of waiting for this extremely long-term process to go through. So just show up the right way, your best way the first time. Again, you can find that at bluegritwellness.com. Go to the shop, so it's bluegritwellness.com/shop. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Blue Grit Radio. As always, support this community by subscribing, giving us a 5-star review, and following, liking, and sharing posts on Blue Grit Wellness on Instagram. You can reach me there or email me at bluegritwellness@gmail.com. Be well and stay gritty.